Hello, darlings. All right, I've got another movie review video for you. I'm doing a series on movies that I love and movies that kind of shaped me for the better or for the worse, we're not sure. Today, we are talking about Showgirls. If you haven't seen Showgirls, it is an experience. This movie was dubbed like the worst movie that year, but at the same time it has a massive following. And if you're new here, I'm Sid. Let's play, I don't know, 10 15 minutes. Let's play around, let's do the thing, let's Showgirls. Okay, so first and foremost, this is a dance movie. I know it's like a highly sexualized sexual movie, but it is also a dance movie. Oh, first and foremost, this is not a children's movie. This is not even a PG-13 movie. It is way past that. I saw this movie a bit too young, a lot too young. This movie used to play every weekend on TNT when there wasn't sports. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm pretty sure I didn't imagine it, but I just remember like there was a stretch of time where this movie was on TV constantly. I was like, oh, there's a dance movie. But I started noticing something wasn't right about this dance movie. Mind you, I'm in like, generously, I'll say middle school, but there's a possibility that I was younger than that. By the way, I have my Nomi Malone outfit on today. I do wear this to auditions sometimes. I have my long jazz pants. I'll stand up and take a photo for you. And my crisscross shirt. Showgirls, okay? Okay. So if you haven't seen Showgirls, it is the movie about Nomi Malone. I always want to say Naomi because that's what it should be, but it's Nomi. And she is kind of a runaway. She is a dancer who shows up in Vegas and she is ready to hit it big. Now, there's some secrets about Nomi. First of all, her real name is not Nomi Malone, and she has a checkered past. All of this will come out at the end, but we start off with her hitchhiking to Vegas. She gets picked up by a guy in a truck. He drives her to Vegas. They go to a casino, and she wins. She actually wins. And then she loses, and then she finds out that she like triple loses because he has stolen her bag and all of her belongings. So I'm gonna stop right there. That's the beginning, and now we have to get into like the criticism of it, which is the acting. One of my favorite moments of like crazy acting is actually in that beginning part when she finds out that her stuff has been stolen. The reaction that she has, slamming herself against a car and like beating this car up and running into traffic, like it is just, it is so extra. And then this black girl that she doesn't know, she's like, that's my car, that's my car. And then they like instantly go to dinner, become good friends, and she has her move in with her. So Nomi is played by Elizabeth Berkley. Now you might know Elizabeth Berkley by Saved by the Bell, but what a lot of people don't know about her is that she's a huge dancer. She like training acting and dancing and like serious dancing long before she became Nomi Malone. So in a lot of ways she was like perfect for this opportunity. I actually think a lot of the dancing for that time was pretty fierce. Okay, there are certain dance scenes that I'm like, I don't even know if I could do that at the same intensity that they're doing it. Dance in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and a little bit in the 90s was so much different than how I trained when I trained. It was a lot more guttural, it was a lot more thrusty, it was a lot more in your face, but the world of Showgirls is a real place, and so there are girls who still dance like that, and you can go to Vegas and see a Vegas show of girls like dancing just like that because it's like a time capsule. We'll get to all the nudity in a second, but I think the movie does show that and encapsulate that, but it just did it in a way that was so extreme that people didn't take it serious and people didn't take Elizabeth Berkley serious. The director actually has come out and said that one of the things that he would have done differently was how he told Naomi to be. He wanted her to have this like erratic, like craziness to her that the audience would pick up on the fact that she had a checkered past and like maybe she used to do drugs. So she was really just like following directions. So I think actually people need to give more credit to Elizabeth Berkley for her performance. The dancing alone, I do think that she did the best at that time with the material that was choreographed. And then I do think that she was told to act crazy, so she did act crazy, and we saw it, we looked at it, and we're like, this is crazy. And so that is part of the reason why critics slammed this movie. Let's get back into the story. So the black girl that I mentioned, her name is Molly. Molly and Nomi are like BFFs, sisters, born to different misters, and they have separate jobs. So Nomi ends up working and staying in Vegas. She works at the Cheetah, and Molly works at the Stardust, and she's a costume designer. So after a string of events, Nomi goes to work with Molly, and she gets to see the Stardust show. She's like, oh my god, this is real dancing, this is what I want to do, you know, the cheetah that's not real dancing. And she meets the magical, amazing Crystal Connors. Now, Crystal is an icon. She's very powerful. She's the star until she loses her position. We'll get there. They have like a weird energy towards each other. That energy is what propels the rest of the movie. Crystal, being like the bad bitch that she is, she takes her boyfriend and brings him to the Cheetah and says, you know what? I want that Nomi girl to do a dance for my boyfriend. Now, the Cheetah is a strip club, but they allude to it being more of like an XXX strip club, if you will. So they never say it, but they allude to it. Crystal shows up with her boyfriend. She's like, Nomi, I need you to dance on him. Eventually, they settle on an amount of money, and Nomi needs to dance for Crystal's boyfriend. On Crystal's boyfriend. Viciously on Crystal's boyfriend. So let's pause. This is when I noticed that something was wrong with the movie as a young person. I was like, why are their outfits like moving? Why do they keep like cutting the movie like right here on everybody? And there's a lot of choppy things, and they never show the whole dance, and the outfits, like their outfits are moving on them. It was CGI. It was really bad CGI for that movie to be played on TNT because there is so much nudity in this movie. They did a good job at trying to hide it, but even when I was very little, I was like, something is not right. So you can imagine that the first time seeing the actual movie that was not the version that was played on TV was very enlightening. This also went into why Elizabeth Berkley was ostracized after this movie. Now, she said in an interview that when she read the script and found out what it was about, she fought for it. She desperately wanted it to be her. There wasn't a lot of people that wanted to do it because they knew about the nudity, and then there wasn't a lot of people who were trained to do it and would have been able to do all the dancing. But the movie broke barriers in a way that changed the industry. There has never been as much nudity in one production, so many people at the same time, as any other movie since. Like movies going to the movie theater. And it changed the way that actresses decided on what movies they wanted to take. It literally became a line. Oh, no, I don't want to do like an Elizabeth Berkley film. Now, does that suck for Elizabeth Berkley that she's seen in a negative way? Yes, but it does change the industry. So after that, Nomi ends up auditioning for the Stardust, for the show that Crystal is in. The audition scene actually is very, very similar to a true dance audition. I'm a professional dancer. I can verify this. Like sometimes you stand in a line and people walk down the line and they look at your body. Except for the whole ice situation, I have never been at an audition where someone pulled out ice. Oh, and a tidbit, the choreographer, or I don't know if she's a choreographer or choreographer assistant, her name is Gay in the movie. She is super fierce. Her real name is Michelle Johnston, and she played in the original A Chorus Line movie. So fierce in both of those movies. So it was kind of, you know, like some good casting that they did. Like, let's get a legend in and have her play the choreographer or choreographer assistant. So I thought that was cool. So Nomi makes the show, but she quickly learns that, you know, stuff in the professional dance world and in the Stardust Hotel situation is not what she thinks. First of all, there's some seedy behavior happening behind the scenes where some girls are invited to boat parties, and you're supposed to know that like a boat party is like an invitation to exploitation. Then there's drama between certain girls. Then you have Crystal Connors like lingering over her with their weird energy. They even like go to dinner at one point together. And then one girl, the crazy girl who has dreads, she conspires to get another girl out. Now, this is very much like a C story. Like, I don't even really know their names. I think they're both kind of stereotypical. There was one show that I did, we had all seen Showgirls together, and for the rest of that contract, we would like fake the pearl dropping, where the dreadhead girl takes some beads and pearls and she's going on stage, and in the middle of the dance she like lets them loose. The other girl ends up falling because her dance partner slips on the pearls and she breaks her knee, I think. So all contract long, like if somebody got on our nerves, we'd be like faking pearls all over the stage. We would never do something like that. I just want to make that very clear. Like, I would never do something like that. It's a funny moment because the music and the fall is very dramatic, but I do think that things do happen like this, maybe a little more in the 90s. When the girl breaks her knee, she gets out of the show. Come to find out, she was Crystal's understudy. So Crystal needs a new understudy. Having slept with Crystal's boyfriend, gets invited to Crystal's understudy audition, which really pisses Crystal off, but it really gets the movie going because, of course, Naomi becomes Crystal's understudy, and of course, she steals Crystal's boyfriend and get Crystal out of the show so that she can become the lead Stardust Queen and Goddess. Can we talk about Gina Gershon for a second? Gina plays Crystal Connors, and I will say that performance was not forced. I don't think that that was as crazy as Elizabeth Berkley's performance of Nomi. Like, I believed Gina Gershon being Crystal Connors. And that's what I think. Let's rewind just a bit because I kind of glazed over something. Nomi steals Crystal Connors' boyfriend, and there is an epic pool scene between the two of them, and that ends up being one of the deleted scenes if you see this movie on TV, because it is a lot. It is a lot. You have to watch it to understand, because I want my page to be monetized, so I am not going to tell you what she did in that pool with that man. But whether she was planning it or not, it worked because she got the audition. So how does Nomi take Crystal out? I'll tell you. Crystal pissed her off because of some other thing. They're always like mad at each other but then loving to each other. It's very, very weird. It's very weird. And they're always like fighting while they're dancing. It's like part of the choreography. And I have questions about like the linearness of it, but it happens. And all of a sudden, Elizabeth Berkley, Nomi, is just like had it. She just can't take it anymore. She wants Crystal's spot, and so she pushes her down a flight of stairs. So Crystal is out, Naomi is in. They do a huge reveal of Naomi being the goddess, and the press and the photos and the boyfriend and the car and the party, but there are some issues. Remember, Nomi is a runaway. Nomi was hitchhiking. Nomi's real name is Pollyanna. Pollyann Costello. Nomi can't give her birthday or her driver's license or her social security or her address or next living relative. So when they start checking all this information for her to get the job, and then they double check it for her to get Crystal's job, red flags start popping up. Okay, now I'm gonna tell you the next moment, but it is a harsh moment in the movie. But right after, I'm gonna tell you a funny moment, okay? Okay, so even though all her background stuff is like falling apart, Nomi gets thrown this huge goddess party and she invites Molly. Remember Molly? Molly gets invited because Andrew Carver is going to be there and she's like so excited. She loves Andrew Carver. Well, unfortunately for Molly, she gets swept up with Andrew Carver. They go to a room alone and it's extremely graphic. Like, this is the one that I like struggle to watch, and like I just rewatched it so that I could do this video. I just, you know, skipped through that because I can't watch that part anymore. So that's just an FYI, but it also goes to like, did we need that? It's such a big trauma to happen. And then, you know, did it have to happen to the black girl? Just saying. I think somewhere I read that the director defended it and said that they did need it because that is what took Nomi to like the next level, to what she's about to do, and then how the movie ends. So like a huge trigger warning on that part, but the movie is very long, so you could still enjoy like the first hour and a half before it even gets to that. So a funny moment. When Nomi gets a little bit of money, she decides that she's gonna go to the store, and she's always passing fancy stores because it's Vegas. She sees this dress and Molly is like, I can make that for you. And she's like, no, I'm gonna buy it. And they go in, she tries it on, it looks good. And she wears it when she meets a lot of people at the Stardust. And they're all like, oh, great dress, you're so beautiful. And she's like, thanks, it's a Versace. I got it at Versace. It's my favorite, it's Versace. And then somebody has to pull her aside and be like, it's Versace. Versace. And to make it even funnier, Elizabeth Berkley sells merch that says Versace or it's Versace on it. And I actually love that, and I really wish that I had ordered like a Versace cup and was using it while I make this video. Okay, so let's finish it. After Molly gets terribly assaulted, she's in the hospital, she looks like shit. She looks awful. Nomi goes to visit her in the hospital and she's like, Molly, I'm here for you. I'm going to enact your revenge even though you can't. I am going to take care of this. Don't you worry. And Molly has like no idea that she's there because she's so beaten up and battered. And Nomi's job is pretty much ruined because they find out about her like past drug use, her past ways of making money, all the stuff that she was trying to hide. They're going to blackmail her into continuing to do the show for like no money. So what does she do? She gets all dressed up, she brings her switchblade, she probably watches a kickboxing video because she's going to use kickboxing in a second, and she goes to visit Andrew Carver. She kicks the crap out of him after seducing him, lays into him because of what he did to Molly. She goes to Molly one last time to say goodbye, and she decides to stop by Crystal Connor's hospital room because Crystal Connor has been in the hospital for the same amount of time that Nomi has been the Stardust Queen, which there are some questions about that, but whatever. They have this like weird kind of girl moment, goodbye, kiss thing, and she like gives her hat. And the one iconic moment is that Crystal Connor says, it's all right, darling. I was on my way out anyway, because she knows as a dancer, like, your career is not gonna go forever. She was like, you know what, you did me a favor, and she got a good settlement because she had lawyers, so. And then what do you know? Nomi hitchhikes again and gets picked up by the exact same guy from the beginning of the movie. And she pulls out her switchblade, she's like, where's my stuff? To me, that was a bit too, completed the circle a little bit too much for me, but I don't know how else you would have ended it. And then she drives off to Los Angeles with this guy, and they pass the giant sign that says like the Stardust Goddess Nomi Malone. And so she made it. She made it to the top of the show. She was professionally dancing, but then because of her past and because of what happened to her friend, it all fell apart. So why am I obsessed with this movie? There's just so many like funny, iconic like things like the pearls or the Versace or all of the dancing and the thrust it, thrust it, thrust it. The outfits and the makeup and the hair and the glitter, personally, I feel like they were on point for what they were trying to get across. But you know what, this movie is still very, very popular for dancers, for the LGBTQ community, and they recently dropped a documentary on the cult following of Nomi Malone and Showgirls. It is called You Don't Know Me, and it just came out like in the last few years. It's really good. I watched it. And yes, there's some cheesiness in there, and there's some weird lines in there, and I do have a problem with the assault and battery moment, but I don't think that anyone can ever make another movie like it, even with the dancing. Oh, can we talk about the shoes that Nomi was wearing at the strip club? I will show you a picture because that just makes me laugh so much. I'm sure it happened. I'm sure that's something that used to happen. It is so funny to me. One of the last things that I'll say is justice for Elizabeth Berkley. Like I said, she really in her soul wanted to do this. It wasn't like some rink-a-dink thing. Like, they had a big budget and a big production. It was still like a huge accomplishment to get onto this movie. Justice for her because of what happened afterwards. I think women are judged way too harshly, and in this example, she was judged more than the director, more than the choreographer, the dressers. The bulk of the criticism all went to her, and she did not work consistently after. And if you follow her on Instagram, like, you can tell that girl just wants to dance. And I get that. I'm a dancer. Like, sometimes I'm like, I just want to dance. Like, I don't care if people aren't paying me for it, you know? So she looks like she's doing well, and she's selling merch, so check out her merch. So that's it, you guys. That's another movie, a movie that I like. So check it out. Let me know what you think. And feel free to watch the documentary because it does explain also why people really like it. Versace. Thanks.